What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/entitled parents. This story's called Entitled Family in India is now hated by almost all of their close relatives. This is my first post on this subreddit, and I'm on mobile, so I don't know if I'm doing this correctly, but here goes. So this took place in the summer of 2018. A lot of my family lives in India. This took place in India at my mom's sister's home. The characters are me, sister, mom, mom's sister, cousin 1, cousin 2, entitled mom and my mom's sister-in-law, entitled dad and my mom's brother, entitled kid 1, entitled kid 2. Oy. My family was on vacation. We were visiting our cousins and my mom's sister along the trip. While we were there, we decided to go to this place where it's like camping except you're at the top of a mountain with condos and a shower and food being made for you by the staff there. We drove up there, and when we got to the point where vehicles weren't allowed, we rode by horse, no joke, the rest of the way. When we reach the top, we meet the rest of our group, including the entitled family. Entitled kid 2 is there, and he's a year younger than me, so I naturally try to familiarize myself with him, since I'm gonna be stuck on a mountain with him and others for 2 days. It's only until we reach the condos where the true trouble happens. They brought their dog, who they spoiled rotten. He was 15 pounds overweight. He was literally so paranoid if anyone he had met came within 5 feet of him, and he would bark intensely. Once all the kids and teens settle in, we play a round of Uno, but entitled kid 2 says he won't play and that he'll be referee. It turned out that referee meant a way to give entitled kid 1, his sister, all the good cards. We all caught him multiple times but couldn't prove it. Next game, we tell him he's giving his sister the good cards and that he can't be referee. He then tries to guilt trip us halfway through whenever he tries to sneak a card out of his hand and gets caught by saying, "I'm not playing!" And so I'm fed up with him and don't give entitled kid 1 a chance to give him sympathy and tell him, "Okay, then discard your cards." And that shuts him up, and for the rest of the game, he just watches. We finish the game and head out to the campfire for food. We eat and eventually go to sleep in our condos. We wake up and head to the eating area to get breakfast. Everyone except for cousin 1 comes. She's still asleep. Side story. A monkey snuck into the condo where she was sleeping, and a monkey slept next to her and left, and she slept through the whole thing. She later woke up and ate breakfast. We decide to leave today and just hang out at the apartment where mom's sister and her husband and cousin 1 and 2 live. On the car ride, cousin 1 and cousin 2 told us a bunch of times when entitled kid 2 was an absolute brat and also happened to be sexist. Whenever he wanted something first, he would say, "I'm a boy, I should get it first," and then cry when he didn't get it. So we decide on a plan that whenever we play Uno again, we'll watch him and see if he's cheating. So we get to the apartment and everyone's there, so we start playing, and entitled kid 2 is an absolute brat. And whenever sister asks him to stop doing something, he'll do it more. The following conversation ensues. "Hey, can you stop doing that to sister? It's kind of a jerk move."
"Shut up! Do not speak to your elders like that."
We were still playing and the draw pile was gone, so I was taking the played cards pile and making it the draw pile like you're supposed to.
"No, you're cheating."
"Bet. You're just salty because you got caught cheating. Twice. Now, do me a favor and keep that obnoxious mouth shut? Thank you." We finish with entitled kid 2 quiet the whole time. Later, cousin 1, cousin 2, and sister all told me that I absolutely destroyed him. I don't think it was that good of a roast though. We later see entitled kid 2 going and whining to his mom, who was entitled mom, but my mom was in there too, so he didn't want to make up any stories. But later, he did that we were calling him names, insulting him, calling him fat, even though he kinda is since he's given anything he wants. Entitled mom is just like,
"Don't trouble my son, he's a precious little baby."
And we just kinda ignore it. Later, this convo happened.
"Man, I wish we could just get some waffles from Belgian Waffle."
This Waffle House that is actually awesome and not where we live.
"We can go, but it closes in like 5 minutes and we don't have a ride." "We can go. Alright, cousin 2, you find the wallet, and you two, me and sister, come with me."
We're running there? For context, traffic laws in India are very bad, mostly because there's nobody to enforce them.
"Yeah, just don't get hit by a car."
We had gotten down to ground level and outside by that time, and then we took off running. 2 times motorcycle mirrors hit my arms while we were running, but we got there with 2 minutes to spare. As long as we stayed inside, the place was open, and we waited for Cousin 2. She eventually came and we got our waffles to go. My everything hurt, but it was worth it. Since we were somewhat generous, we got some waffles for Entitled Kid 1 and Entitled Kid 2. We get back, and apparently, Entitled Kid 2 has a cold and was doing shivering faker than the Logan Paul vs. KSI fight. Entitled Mom told him that she got Belgian waffles for him and took all the credit for what we did. He came out to the living/dining room area. He was still doing his fake shivering, and he looked like he was pretending to play Beethoven or something. So here's the part where we know he's faking. Next to the dining area, there's a little sliding door that leads out to the balcony, and he went and sat right next to it. He has a cold, and then he goes to the coldest part of the apartments and fake shivers more to get attention. Now, Cousin 1 is found crying, and Entitled Dad says that their kids aren't feeling included or some crap like that. We were so confused. Was she sad that she didn't get to go sprinting through the streets and risking her life for waffles like we did? Because we still got our waffles anyway, so it didn't matter, did it? We never really found out why she was crying, but they left then, and me, sister, Cousin 1, and Cousin 2 all start ranting to our parents about how much of a bench Entitled Kid 2 is. We tell them about how he was fake shivering to get attention, about how he was purposely being irritating. We also tell them about everything that happened in the condos, and how he cheated in Uno and all that. They said, "He's just a little kid though," and we all screamed, "He is not a little kid!" Cousin 1 said,
"He's only 1 year younger than OP."
And then I realized that the reason Cousin 1 and Cousin 2 thought I was mature for my age is because the only person around my age was Entitled Kid 2, and he's an immature crotch goblin. The parents went in to discuss it, and we didn't really hear much, but we did hear the words, "Entitled Mom and Entitled Dad should have raised and handled them better," and words of agreement. Eventually, we all go to sleep, and the next morning, Entitled Family comes back. Oh boy. Keep in mind, this is our last day staying here. This is the day we are going to the airport to fly somewhere else. I forgot where. Everybody's packing and running around frantically. My dad tells me that we have to apologize to the Entitled Family because it's going to be a long time before we see them, and I don't want a bitter relationship with them. So when Entitled Kid 1 and Entitled Kid 2 come, the following conversation ensues. "I'm sorry about yesterday night."
"It's okay."
My thoughts were, "You son of a bench, what do you mean, it's okay? As if it was my fault? You know that everything that happened was because of you being a little brat!"
"Sorry." "It's okay. We all make mistakes."
"Oh, stop being a brat!" After that conversation, we started watching Polar Express because apparently Cousin 1 and Cousin 2 had never seen it. Entitled Kid 2 was being obnoxious the whole time, and I had a sudden curiosity to see how far I could kick the crotch goblin across an apartment. Then the Entitled Family left, and we went to the airport. A couple of days later, we were told by Cousin 1 that they had to apologize too, and it made us really mad. After that, the rest of the vacation was nice, and Entitled Kid 1 and Entitled Kid 2 are now known as Thing 1 and 2 because our parents would get mad when we talked about how annoying they are, so those are their code names. It's really amazing how well I can imagine these scenarios because honestly, so many Desi families have such a similar dynamic. There's always some bratty little snots and they're crappy, horrible parents that are just mean and two-faced and all that crap. And there's always your parents not understanding that they are horrible people and you have to, But then you got your cool older cousins that, you know, do stuff with you and all that stuff, and that's cool. This story's called Entitled Mom and Entitled Kid Break My Couch and Then Proceed to Smash My Phone on the Ground. Apology for bad English, if you get the reference. However, I'm Italian. I don't get the reference, but comments? Cast of this wonderful story: Entitled Mom,
Entitled Kid,
the adorable daughter of Karen. Me, of course, the goldfish. A little bit of backstory. So it was my birthday and I was turning 16. I organized a little party with few people, friends from school. The fun begins! Yay! One of my friends shows up and his mother and his sister too. The sister wasn't invited. She's an entitled little crap. I didn't care too much, but my mother gives me a disgusted look as she knows the behavior of the entitled kid. I go upstairs to my room, which is pretty big, and we start to play on my my computer. At some point, entitled kid shows up and sits on my couch to play with her phone. She was 8. She then gets bored and wanders around in my room and starts touching everything. I've had, since I was a kid, a bench in my room where I put all the things that were inside the almost 50 kits of The Little Chemist. It was, for my friends and relatives, a gift that they were sure I would appreciate. I was starting to get nervous because I was afraid she would touch the chemicals that were stored in there. I then get distracted by something on the screen. I suddenly hear a rip. As I turn towards the source of the sound, I hear entitled kid crying and running downstairs. I get up and see that little love stain has somehow found a cutter and then obviously proceeded to rip a hole in my poor couch. I hear entitled kid calling for her mommy and then stomping sounds coming upstairs. Oh boy.
What have you done to my precious angel?
What?
What have you done to her?
Me genuinely not understanding. We were playing games and then we saw her ripping a hole in the—
Liar!
What? Why?
Entitled kid said you all violated her, cut her with a cutter, then ripped a hole in the couch to incriminate her.
I am genuinely shocked about the complexity of the story that entitled kid managed to invent. I see, too, that entitled kid's hand has a cut. Ma'am, as I said, we didn't do any—
Stop talking back to me, you disgusting human being!
Excuse me?
What are those satanic anti-vegan games you're playing?
We were playing the most horrible, homophobic, anti-vegan, and satanic game you could imagine. Slime Rancher. Google if you don't know what it is. She ripped the hole in the couch. Entitled mother screaming like the banshee she is.
Liar!
Entitled mom then tries to reach for my computer, but we stop her hand when she sees a phone on the table and grabs it.
Is this your phone?
Please give it back to me.
I am taking it as recompensation for the terrible way you treated me.
I am usually a very calm and kind of submissive person, even though I am 6'3" and pretty muscular, and I tend to lose my crap rarely.
What? Give it back! You have no right to take it!
Entitled mom then grabs entitled kid and my friend, who is cringing in an angle. He apologized a lot when I met him at school and tries to storm out of my home. My mother, who heard everything, tries to stop her by standing in front of the door.
Where do you think you're going? I am leaving this house, you perverts!
She then proceeds to slap my mother in the face and kick away my cat because he was in the middle. I completely lost my dookie. I went downstairs. Give me back my phone and get out of here now!
Well, if I can't have it, you cannot either!
Entitled mother then smashes my phone into the ground. At this point, I've had enough. I push entitled mom and entitled kid out of my place and yell, "Get away from here, you freaking love stains, and never come back, or we're calling the police!"
No, we're calling the police!
Fine! And I shut the door. After a few minutes, the doorbell rings, and at the door, 2 policemen are standing. After explaining the situation, the officers, as all of us present their version, and soon they take away entitled mother. I later discovered that she accused us of violence, threatening, violation, and theft. We decided not to press charges because she wasn't worth our time. I am so sorry. Normally I'd give those voices my all and, do the banshee shriek and some justice, but I'm kind of tired. But goodness gracious, these Italian entitled mothers are a whole other level of crazy. They are Italian mothers. Yes. This story's called Entitled Parent and Her Entitled Daughter Want Special Meals on Flight. So this happened in October of 2019, where we flew from Calcutta to Phuket via a stopover in Singapore. Anyways, here's the cast iron skillet.
Entitled mother, 70-year-old headache.
Entitled daughter, 40-year-old migraine daughter of entitled mother.
Anita, poor stewardess.
Lemmy.
Mom.
Sister. Given that my own mother does not eat pork and beef, Indians here, I had to book special diabetic seafood meals for my mother on both sectors. Singapore Airlines were kind enough to accommodate for us, and also allocated us our seats. This was done 2 months in advance because I didn't want to be a nuisance to the hard-working crew. Now, we board the plane and we have 3 seats on the left side. The A350 was in a 3-3-3 configuration, and in the aisle sat entitled mom and entitled daughter. Takeoff is smooth and I start chilling with my whiskey in hand while my mother and sister go to sleep. We are woken 15 minutes later because my mother's meal had arrived. Entitled mother notices this and starts to point towards us, and then entitled daughter has called the attendant and demanded to know why my mother got her meal first. Anita is the one to respond and tells her about our pre-booking meals for my diabetic mother. And entitled mother starts demanding her meal, her demand more amplified through entitled daughter. This escalates until the head stewardess comes from the business section and tells her that she won't get anything until the cart reaches our section. Not more than 5 minutes pass, and entitled daughter starts angrily demanding food because apparently her suddenly diabetic entitled mother is feeling fainty from the lack of food. Entitled daughter now starts attracting the attention of those around her, and the head stewardess finally caves in and asks them both to be allocated diabetic meals. 15 minutes later, we get our meals and drinks, where my sister asked for wine and I asked for a Singapore sling. Then, Anita turns around and entitled mother and entitled daughter demand to know why they weren't served any drinks. Anita says,
Sorry, ma'am. Let me just tell you what's available.
She tells them that they have black coffee and green tea. Entitled daughter is not satisfied and demands to know why she isn't offered anything else when the cart is stocked with alcohol and juice and soft drinks. And then came the words that almost made me spit out my drink in laughter. Anita smiles and goes,
Ma'am, we are extremely sorry, but diabetic allocated passengers are only offered black coffee and tea. Our menu is strictly curated by health professionals and chefs, and is the recommendation as you can see from this lady over there.
And points to Mom, who gleefully sipped away her green tea while watching Jumanji. The entitled duo are visibly seething in anger from the defeat, and while exiting the plane, looked at the head stewardess and goes,
We will complain on your website. Very poor service.
while she smiles back and goes,
I am sorry to hear that. Hope you had a nice flight.
My sister and I had to hold back behind them a bit because that reply had us wheezing. They handled that really well. They got payback on them without even having to do anything besides follow policy. That is every worker's dream when they encounter entitled people. Well, that's or ruthlessly bashing their faces in, but we're trying to keep it light here, you know? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.